Yeah, so I met Matt back in 2018, and he was trying to sell me some backup software, and we ended up getting some, and we were having some drinks, and he told me about this idea he had for a business. And I've been on both sides of it. I've had to hire consultants, and I've been a consultant. So when he told me about it, I was like, this is a great idea. That's gonna, kind of take the friction out of that whole process for everybody. And he called me a little over a year ago, about a year and a half ago now, and said, hey, I'm pulling the trigger on this thing. Are you in? And we jumped in, and here we are. So we're building, and we're doing really well. So AI and it's amazing technology. It's truly revolutionized everything that we're doing today in terms of process and how people work and what people do. But it's kind of made everything look like a nail. And who knows Abraham Maslow, hierarchy of needs? Anybody take psychology? So my favorite quote, what he's probably less known for than his hierarchy of needs, is if the only tool you have is a hammer, it's tempting to treat everything as if it was a nail. And AI has given us a mighty big hammer, and people are just beating everything to death with it. So we're going to talk a little bit today about our business use cases, but more importantly, how we leverage it in our business development and day-to-day process within our product from when we conceived it to the current state and beyond. We started out wanting to treat AI as a partner through this and the whole thing. And like any partner, you've got to set rules and conditions and boundaries for what you do. And how to have a successful partnership is understanding what your partner is capable of, and more importantly, what they're not capable of. So, introduction to HiveMind. We talked a little bit about this earlier today. It's a neat idea. We're taking the concept of a trust-based automation framework for our subject matter experts. That would be most of you guys. Are we all developers here? Everybody a developer? I call myself a recovering engineer. I'm more of a technology leader strategist now. But and then our clients. And when you talk about there's not a lot of jobs out there right now, there's not, but there is a lot of work. And your flower shop chains and small restaurants can't really afford to hire a full-time Java developer for gig work and projects. They go to Fiverr and find lackluster delivery. They go to a company like an Accenture or a Slalom, and they get just raked over the coals and constantly extended projects. And so it's there's pain on both sides of this for this market. So this is kind of the niche we're trying to fill, and we're catering specifically to non-technical subject matter experts, and this matters in one of our AI use cases. That's why I'm going into it a little bit more. Okay, so in the platform, internally, what we're doing, and I don't know why my icons are giving me the big FU here, but we've got AI systems doing our resume parsing and profile creation. We're doing social media connections and recommendations for experts, so you can find people who can both help you work on your projects as well as help provide support or answer questions. So people that have your skill set and people that have adjacent skill sets are good synergies with what you're working on, so that you can form bigger teams and get bigger projects. Because one of the pain points as a fractional technology worker is not necessarily finding more work. It's that you can't get it because you don't network enough. We're kind of all introverts. So finding people to work with is really hard, and it's one of the things that we're really proud of, is how we're going to be able to allow people to team up with other people to find more and bigger work that are in the freelance space. The AI sales engineer comes in on our client side. For our non-technical stakeholders, we're creating a chat agent that is going to be able to take their idea and their project need and refine it into a real technical requirement that we can then feed to our expert matching. And those are the two kind of pieces of secret sauce that we've got there that separate us from most of the other competitors out there. We find people and they have a project, they don't necessarily know what they need or how they want it done. All they know is they have a timeline and they have a budget, and give me the people I need, whether it be a full stack developer with a 25% DevOps guy and maybe a project manager for 3 months, right? And it'll take what they need done, look at what they're trying to break it down to, and then match them with the appropriate people from the platform to get the job done. A big part of what we're providing on the platform as well is thought leadership platform, a place to have your voice heard, someplace that's not LinkedIn, which is just awful for finding any kind of valuable content. But to keep it clean and keep it real, we're using a lot of AI in our content moderation with great success. Now, our early tests were not so great. I published a naughty picture early on in our testing on that, but we fixed it, all good stuff. And then cost estimation, which is a really big deal too, because once you have the idea of what the work that needs to be done, you've got to be able to price it and find it within the budget and match it up with the right people and the right pay ranges that they've got in there. So these are our AI platform system use cases, and these are what we're building into our platform. And they're all great, and they all fit a good business need and provide us good value in the platform. There's not a lot of frivolous things here. It's all just well thought, straight out use cases. We're not just doing it. There's a lot of these, sure, can be done with just deterministic programming, but the AI was a pretty light lift, and honestly, it just worked for what we were doing. So that was a win. So what is AI, and when should you use it and when shouldn't you? So AI, I see kind of like DevOps. If you go around a room and ask everybody in the room what DevOps is, you're gonna get a different answer from everybody. Mostly the same, couple edge cases and differences, but people think AI is different. My brother's kids think it's just, what you go to cheat on your homework. And, my boss thinks it's the answer to all of our problems, technical issues. Oh, we can just have AI write that, and it's great. As engineers, there's machine learning and deterministic models and different workflows and agents and agentic AI systems, and it's all different. But everybody sees AI differently. And what they do and how they treat it and what they expect from it is different as well. So that's created a gap in our org charts. Working from your high-level C-suite and board people all the way down to your engineers and practitioners, there's varying gaps of understanding and a different expectation for what AI is and what it's not. Guys that go out and talk to their C-suite guys on the golf course, they say, oh, we did AI with this and it worked out great, which is a big fat lie because it probably didn't go as well as it did, but he doesn't want to look bad in front of his golf buddies. So AI might be a mandate or a checkbox or something you put pressure on because you think everybody's doing AI. The Super Bowl commercials made everybody think AI was an irreplaceable part of everything we do. And it can be, but again, with some governance, and we'll get into that later. Your VPs and senior directors, they may understand a business case, but they don't really understand how the pieces fit together, where it goes. And as you move down the ladder, you get down to where you've got the engineers who understand the use cases and they want to treat your company like a sandbox, but without guidance, they're going to run your token bill through the roof. So you give them, rein them in, give them very clear guidance and clear business problems. And ask them to build, not to think. Just build and do your thing. Solve your problem. Engineer stuff. So, well, how did I go backwards? So, to bridge that gap, you have to talk to your board members and frame it as opportunity and risk mitigation. Say, it can help us to do, we don't necessarily need this AI chatbot on our website, but we can really use it to help us analyze our security logs or help us in our business analytics. Understand the business case and the wins. That's what the C-suite guys like to hear. For your VPs and senior directors, you want to be able to map your AI initiatives to business requirements, metrics. These guys are the KPI-driven people, right? They understand how you can get yourself into a vendor lock-in, what your dependencies are, how you can use it as an accelerator, and they're very big about understanding what good looks like. So defining their success criteria is a critical part of what these guys do. And if you speak that language, they're going to hear it. To your directors, you have to show what it's going to look like. How is their org going to change as they adopt AI? What is the before and after going to be? How do we fix it? How do we monitor it, right? Getting human in the loop, human feedback, and let them say, yes, this is ready, or no, this is not. You've got to empower your managers and senior managers to be able to really understand that, yes, this is ready to go, and we can make this, pull the trigger. And then your engineers, you have to define the problem and then let them approach it the way they want to. Don't define tools, just make sure you understand what the outcome has to be and just let the leashes go. They go and do their thing, and it's awesome. Don't mandate tools. That's a bad practice. So the AI hammer is everywhere. So every startup pitch has it. How many people here can recognize a Claude Word document like that fast? Everybody can. You see it with the big blue blocks and the structures, and it's not just this, it's this too, and the M hyphens and the whole nine. It's crazy. But you know, it's not a question of should you use AI. Everybody should use it in some capacity, but it's when to find the right tool. So you know, forcing AI into every feature, process, and decision is a bad move. Toolbox is kind of where everybody wants to be. It's strategic AI, thinking of where it excels, but the real sweet spot is the builder, understanding the real problems and understanding how AI can really help them and not just, you know, vaporware or wishes. At HiveMind, we started out at the hammer. We moved to the toolbox, and we've kind of bridged the gap now where we're halfway between the toolbox and the builder, straddling that line. I think that's a pretty good sweet spot for what our business needs are right now in terms of how we're leveraging AI and evaluating different use cases for it. And that's, I'm happy to get there. That was a long, hard journey. I have stubborn leadership. Very good, but very stubborn. Okay, how many people have had some AI projects fail? And by fail, I mean they don't make money, they don't save money, or they don't deliver what they promised. Anybody? Couple of hands up over here. What McGee? Okay. Red shirt guy. What was your AI use case?
I was building a little tiny game, and I decided to use it to kind of organize everything. Fast being a bit big and was not real. So I'm like, okay, can you organize it? It organized it and deleted the floor. And everything I needed that the entire game was built on deleted the floor. So when it ran, everything fell.
So that was coding. That was a coding error? Yeah. So, yeah, and it probably told you it was exactly what you asked for. So, you know, prompt engineering is critical, how you use it. It is confidently wrong, but it's always confidently wrong based on how you give it input, right? So, so why do people fail? We talked about the business case. We talk about it over and over again, and because it is so critical to actually have a need to do this. If you already have a tool that is suiting your need, there's no need to go out and spend the extra money for a tool just because it's got AI in the title or you saw a fancy commercial for it. Data preparation is critical. So you scale up to the organization size, even in the SMB space, you've got a certain amount of data. You have to have data governance and understand what you're putting into the model. We'll talk about GRC a little bit later. But data structure, data normalization, and data governance classification policies are critical. The demos and the real product, the deviations between what people promise and what people deliver are vastly different. Their expectation is that the demo is just a scaled down version of the final product, but it's really just to see what it looks like. When you take a vibe coded proof of concept and then try to develop it into an enterprise platform, none of that code base is reusable. It's just something to get you out the door. So expertise is a big thing. And in terms of the way you're addressing that gap, that's a big problem. So who knows who Melvin Conway is? There's some folks here that are old enough to remember Conway's Law. Says that, there we go, there's a hand. Is that, oh, Glenn, you don't count. You're not allowed to say that. So anyway, Melvin Conway in 1968 said that your technology stack was going to mimic your internal work communication structure. So, you know, working, and that's where the idea of going with the two pizza teams. You can't just modernize your technology. Your organization has to be ready for it as well as your data. So your people, your process, your structure, everything has to be ready to adopt the new technology, or you're never going to really get it off the ground. And that's as true with AI as it is with anything else. It helps you to move faster, and if your organizational communication and structure is slow, cumbersome, monolithic, you're going to struggle to adopt any new tech. But who does good? You know, the 5% that win, that really win well with AI, you know, why do they win? It's because they are able to define how they measure it, to understand really that what I said, what good looks like with their implementations and how they can show a good return on their investment. You start with your back office. You start with ROA, automating your operations, your data sanitization. Chatbots are nice, but they don't return anything. So don't build. You know, everybody was building tools, building models, rendering everything, costing a fortune. There's so many tools out there now, especially consuming, you always look for a solution, something off the shelf, something COTS that you can leverage, or open source projects to build, to buy or leverage existing before you build from scratch. Let your managers really understand and have the power over what goes out and what doesn't. They got to define that quality control and what that looks like. That's a big thing. And then govern data lake, govern data lake finance. So your data is your money in a company, and it should be as regulated and governed and controlled as all your financials should be. So questions around this? Comments, questions up to now? Crickets. You guys are just a noisy group, I'll tell you. Okay, so in business, where does AI help and where can't it? So we broke down 20 core business categories, and across their use cases, the average AI contribution is about 49%. This was scraped from Gartner data, honestly, 9 months ago, so it's probably changed a little bit. But there's areas where AI can truly accelerate your business initiatives, where it can help your people, or where it can not quite help so much, maybe hurt a little bit and hinder you in terms of how you can use it to just educate as a learning opportunity, right? So where can AI accelerate for you? Marketing and branding, competitive analysis and strategy, some financial planning, launch timelines, planning and execution of those things, pricing strategy and revenue models. It's great for all those things. Operations and infrastructure work, it can be good for really well with a skilled person driving it. And then, your customer success and retention, it's really, really good. And what these things all have in common is that they play into the core of what any data system is, and it's pattern recognition at scale. So these use cases all suit that, and that's why AI does really well. And that's something that bears mentioning too. AI, to the first slide said, what is AI? At the end of the day, AI is just your data system. It's just another way to handle and manipulate your data. And like any data system, you put crap in, you get crap out. So I'm going to beat on the data quality thing quite a bit to anybody that wants to talk to me about AI. So, all right. So where it can kind of help you a little bit to augment a little bit about what you do. Sales strategy, understanding who you're going to reach and how, kind of drafting data privacy and security policies at a draft. Now, there's a fine line between these and legal documents. We'll talk about that on the next slide a little bit. Growth and scaling strategy. AI is really good at understanding and taking the information that's out there and looking at potential ways that it's going to trend and grow. Foundational vision and validation, understanding, like goes back to a little bit about that market research. There's a bit of overlap here, but similar, where you can really look out what competitors you have in your space and how you can compete with them and how you can create differentiators and separate yourself. Vetting out resumes. Everybody who, you guys are all, I know the job thing is there. Everybody looking for work, you've all fed your resume to some kind of an AI chatbot that gave you the big finger and said you never went past to have a machine seeing it. And it can be good at that, and companies, I think, are abusing that. But something AI can't do well is really build the relationships and handle the interpersonal things. You're not a resume. You're a person. You've got your personalities, your traits, behavioral things that make you different, your work ethic. All these things separate you. Then they're not really tangible things on your resume. They're really hard to get. So that's not something that AI does well, and probably never will be able to. At least not without giving it access to everything you've ever done in your whole entire life, so it can analyze your personality. So, although we're trying to do something like that on HiveMind, because we don't want you to just find people that you can work with, but people you get along with. Okay, so build a toolbox, not a hammer collection. So like I said, with building HiveMind, we've gotten to the point where we're kind of straddling that line between where we've got a toolbox and where we're really builders. And where is the right tool for our business ops? We've had a lot of luck with our content marketing, our data analysis. Data analysis is a massive and amazing use case for AI because, again, pattern recognition at scale, you can't go wrong. Customer support and triage, it's excellent for routing and reviewing tickets. These are great agentic cases where you can have it listen to an email and walk through different things and troubleshooting, route things to the right people and understand kind of your business flows. Low level of effort, high return, great fit. Internal knowledge base, it's perfect for things like that. And this is where your RAG implementations come in, and you see all these chatbots coming in and handling things poorly or handling things well. How you give it your corporate information is what sets the difference between what a good chatbot is and what a crappy one is. In the platform, we've got some great use cases we talked about. We don't have to get too much into this, but a little extension over some of our initial use cases are the smart matching and recommendations and follow-ups. We're going to be suggest profile enhancements within the platform where we can have people that are maybe not getting selected for jobs or not getting as much work as they want, saying these people with overlapping skill sets are getting work because they have XYZ tech. Maybe you should look at this training or this course or add this to your resume. Engagement summaries. Anybody that's ever worked in the consulting space knows that the most important deliverable is your final deliverable, the engagement summaries, all the client success things that we talked about on the other slide. It can go through and take your tickets, your stories, your meeting notes, and everything, and combine it together into an excellent engagement summary to tell you how things went in an engagement and take a temperature of the overall feel of things and report back if it's something that's going to be, somebody that's going to give you repeat business, somebody you want to work with ever again. And, it's a hugely powerful tool for something like that. And it can also, you don't want to write those things, man. It's terrible. It's one of the worst things about being a consultant is summing all that up. And then community content curation. Any place where you have, people putting up content of their own, you're going to get people that are going to be abrasive, toxic, OnlyFans girls putting their links on our platform, things like that. We're keeping a close control over that thing with our content curation, and we're letting AI moderate a lot of our topic forums. So, okay, where is AI not the right tool for your business ops? Strategy and positioning. So it can't really, AI doesn't have a vision, can't be innovative. It's something that's always going to be the human that's going to make those big strategic decisions and make the shoot from the hip call, or the informed shoot from the hip call on how to position yourself and how to move forward. Culture and team building, not really great. It's not good for automating. Just as an example, the resume piece. It's terrible at knowing who you are just on the chat. Now you feed it enough information and contribute to it, you can sort of learn it. And there's tools out there, and we've looked at some. But what we're finding is that the technology just isn't quite there yet, but it's getting there, slow but sure. Financial decisions. I would never give a control of my bank account to AI for any kind of decisions. Like, hey, this stock's looking great, I'm going to buy it all for you. No. It can model things, but context is important. AI doesn't understand context. It doesn't understand big picture usually. So you can really make mistakes from improper optimizations. And then legal and compliance. MSAs, contracts, statements of work, things like that. Your typical terms of service or privacy policy maybe, but anything where you can be liable or on the hook for anything, you definitely want a human lawyer to review that stuff. So not necessarily a good case. So in the platform, where is AI not the right tool? So trust and reputation system. We have a framework for this. We're trying to build it into AI with varying degrees of success right now. But human in the loop, understanding the people and seeing and being able to validate what they do is a big thing. Community moderation, making the decision where, AI, we're letting it flag the content and report, but we have to make the decision if somebody says, all right, we're going to suspend you from the platform, or you're unprofessional, or reread. We're always keeping a human in the loop whenever we're flagging content. Healthcare guidance. How many people know somebody who every time they had a little pain, they said, oh, WebMD says I might have XYZ rare disease, right? So AI has made that problem just so much worse. Don't listen to AI for healthcare, and definitely not for health insurance feedback. Oh my God. And replacing the human connection. At the end of the day, introverts as we are, we still crave community and people. Otherwise, we could do this meeting over Zoom. You guys wouldn't come to these. Well, maybe you do. Do you do it for the free pizza? So yeah, there it is. So yeah, the human connection is important. AI is never going to be able to replace that. We all need that warm fuzzy of being around peers and people that we like. I mostly like you guys. I don't like it that much. Okay, so the AI hammer, the real problems. You get serious problems with vendor lock-in. So, Glenn was telling me earlier today about, Anthropic, their first one's free model. They're jacking their prices up for their newer models, taking away their business grace periods, and it's going to get really, really expensive. And that's going to be a real problem for a lot of places as they become more and more dependent on the tech. It's going to be harder to decouple from it and cut your price. Data privacy. This is a big one. So many people put things into their models and prompts that they shouldn't be. And even though most of the AI providers say, oh, you don't use your prompts to train, they don't, but they use the response they get. And there's people that are out there that are writing prompts, bad guy type, black hat types, that are writing prompts specifically to farm for sensitive data out there. So there's bad actors out there all the time, and helping them out by putting your customer dossiers and information and proprietary data into your generative AI public model is not helping you any. So hallucinations. AI is wrong a lot, and AI is like that 3-year-old with a towel around as a cape. I can do anything superhero. This is it. This is your answer. Swear to God, this is right. And it is 100% totally wrong. So AI is not just wrong, it's competently wrong. You've all heard that before. Managing and monitoring hallucinations is an ongoing problem. As we're developing the platform, we're finding it, and it's something where we control our platform AI. Our business process AI, maybe not so much. It's a lot harder on the public tools to really be able to understand where your hallucinations are coming from and how to fix them. So, it's important to kind of keep that in check and understand that you need to double check a lot of what AI can kind of spits back at you. Cost creep, we talked a little bit about with vendor lock-in. AI gets expensive. Token costs are going up all the time. So, it's really easy to, 1 month have a, $600 Anthropic bill and then have a $20,000 Anthropic bill. Whoops. But it happens, and it's happening more and more as people are leaning more on the technology and using it frivolously. The washing trap. We talked a little bit about the Claude document. Everybody can recognize them. Investors are getting savvy to this as well, and executives. They see the AI written summaries and content, and you check out. You just check out. You're like, human didn't write this. You just, show me something. So you lose interest. You want to be able to show innovation, not copycat AI stuff. So, and then team skill, atrophy. It's if you don't use it, you lose it. And if you're not thinking for yourself and let AI think for you, your team skills are going to just decay over time. It happens. It's already happening, and the technology is not that old. So, so to go AI or not, a decision framework. Quick things for when you're going out there. So the first thing you want to ask is, what problem are you solving? What's your pain point? What are you trying to fix? Start there. If you can't say it without saying AI first, you're not high enough up. Does this require pattern recognition at scale? Large volumes of data processing. It's the magic sauce that makes AI really effective, is managing data well, and that's a big thing. So if it's anything data related, your first question should be, is our data ready for this? And then your second question should be, yes, let's do this. And if it's wrong, understand how to back out. It's really easy to get down the rabbit hole if it's an AI project and you think, well, we got to see it through now, but all you're going to do is deliver a solution that could potentially hurt you for a decade or more, as you're trying to constantly recover from hallucinations and expensive solutions and poor implementations. So make sure you understand, what happens when your AI is wrong and if you've made the wrong choice. So, and then can you build it without AI? And the answer to that for most things is yes. Security tools have been doing log analysis for decades without AI. Does AI make them better? Oh, sure, it can. But if you can't do it without AI, it's going to be really hard to automate with it. Okay, we talked about this. Hey, there's my icons. Okay. So AI strategy for our platform, automation. Why are these slides here? These are supposed to be earlier. We talked about this stuff already. GRC, this is a big thing because you have to control what you're doing with it. It's if you just let the dogs loose, you're going to end up with costs. So European Union has an AI Act that's live. U.S. executive orders are expanding, and state-level AI legislation is going out. California and North Carolina, along with the European privacy laws, they also jumped on the AI train quick. So there's already limits around building solutions and what you can do and not do with AI. Data liability exposure, we talked about a little bit with responsible use, what you put in your prompt, how you control your data and what goes in there. It's all part of your data governance and data classification strategy. You just don't want to be putting sensitive data into your model. Bad idea. Algorithmic accountability. So what happens when AI is wrong? If for us, we might just have a bad fit on a project. But if you're building a bigger project for a bigger client and your AI implementation is completely wrong or off, or it's giving you bad answers or a ton of hallucinations, who's responsible for that? Is it the model? Is it the prompt? Is it your solution? It's important to understand how to look at the overall solution and understand where problems are early so you can fix them. Enterprise and investor readiness. So, yes. Question? Yeah. What was that?
What's a model card?
What is a model card?
Yeah. Investor and enterprise readiness. AI impact investments and model cards are things.
And model cards. So model cards are just that. They're just like, it's basically a disclosure of what you're leveraging and how you're using it as you're looking at going with investors. It's part of the due diligence. And, it's something as you're going through and you're governing your AI usage, it's how you go out and it's just part of your controls. It's part of your system documentation. Like you would document any other architecture. You have to get granular and specific about what you're using and how you're using it.
So is it like Hadoop-based model cards, or is it something?
No, it's a little, similar. What it really is just a disclosure, what you're using it, what data you're sending. And, when you're going, we're kind of at this stage now where we're looking at investors and they're asking questions. Well, what are you using AI for? What are you sending to the public models? Are you running your own inside a model garden or going out? We've got everything documented in terms of our architecture, use cases, and workflows. And that's essentially what this is referring to. Your model supply, if there's no other questions on that. This is a big one because Anthropic's pushing models out constantly. And when they change, sometimes the APIs don't work and sometimes the answers drift. So understanding how your answers are going to change as your models get updated is a big thing. And then transparency, telling people where you use AI. It's becoming more and more obvious these days where you can see where AI is being used and where it's not. I keep going back to that Claude Word document. Somebody doesn't have to tell you they use AI to generate this thing, but you can see it. And the user transparency, it's important, especially on a platform like ours where we're based on trust and people want to know where we're getting our answers from. So we're pretty transparent with all that, but ethical and governed AI use should always be as transparent as possible. So, okay. So practical GRC framework for AI. So who decides your framework? Who decides and how is where your governance sits? Defining your AI decisioning framework. Clear ownership of AI systems is a critical thing because when things start to go bad, everybody's like, it's his system, it's his system. You guys see that in software development. Even 30 years ago, when I was a system administrator, the developers were pointing the finger at us. They didn't put our Java stack out there right. So document why AI and what you're doing versus human in the loop and what you're using AI for versus what you're using just traditional deterministic programming with. And then a regular review cadence for your AI output to make sure that your AI system quality is staying high. Mapping your touch points under risk, it's important to understand what the potential risk and consequences are if there's data breaches. What does failure look like? What does fallback look like? Typical things, you don't think too much about them. You think about them a lot in your traditional day-to-day as a Java developer, but when you're incorporating AI, people just say, oh, it's AI, what can go wrong? You have to kind of document all of these things. So they're just as important for AI, if not more so, as they are with traditional architectures and business systems. And then compliance, workflows. When the auditors come knocking, how many people have gone through a compliance audit? PCI, SOC 2, anything like that? Yep. So you know what it's like when you don't have your data ready and they come knocking. It's painful. So making sure that your compliance is proactive rather than reactive, understanding your legal requirements, and keeping your AI-specific regulatory pieces, the aforementioned European Union legislation and some of the different state legislations is really important. So has anybody ever dealt with AI compliance issues at their work? Yes? No?
We can't get it released. Come on, why do we even have compliance issues? These are just trends.
Yeah, well, yes.
Your 95% mark is a little low.
Yeah, maybe. Not wrong. Yeah, AI, so it's funny when you see adoption, you have people that are like chomping at the bit to go out there and put AI everywhere, and then you have companies that are still really hesitant. They want to really understand the landscape. And your typical insurance company, banking industry, they're very risk averse. And even they're starting to take this technology a little bit more seriously in terms of accelerating adoption. So it's, the problems are only going to get worse unless they're controlled early on, stepping in. So as these bigger companies and places go in and understand what their AI requirements are going to be, if they don't implement a good framework building their solutions, they're just going to stack that 95 number up through the roof. Okay, so startups can't adopt any new tool. You got to know which tool you need. So it's important to understand, not everything needs a hammer. So use the right tool for your job. Go out there and understand your business need and make your AI work for you. Don't pay out for things that you don't want to. So it's going to cost you one way or another. Bad AI it's gonna hurt. So I think that's near the end of this thing. Hive mind. So thank you. I'd love to answer any questions. And if anybody wants to get into more technical aspects of what we're building, I'm happy to discuss that offline as well. Yes, sir.
What's thank you.
What's the difference between data governance and normalization?
So data normalization is, when I think of data normalization, I think of the process of taking unstructured data and structuring it. That's a normalization process, right? Where you look at it and you take your data and you build it into a relational model or your analytics model. Governance is more like your data classifications and data masking, things like your Snowflake does, where it comes to, this is sensitive data and we can't expose it to this type of API. It's got to be, like some data can be publicly traded, images. Other data like bank account information and personal information needs to be encrypted and at rest and in transit. And that's really where governance comes in, and classifying and controlling and managing your data, not necessarily technically how you structure it for your needs to how you address it.
Okay, so it's more around the metadata in terms of the activity of the data versus just the shape.
Yes. Any other questions? Really? Okay.
So, all right, let's ask this question. So, when we look at governance and we look at, are there any governance issues where, like, we can use this model because, or we can't use this model because it crosses transnational, or we're not sure about how much data we're allowed to expose to it, even if we're using it as a developer to write our code?
Absolutely. So it's important to understand, and that comes back to your understanding your local regulations, especially where it comes to things like where GDPR is in play. dealing with PII, dealing with PHI. Generally speaking, most companies don't allow you to put these things into public models, but there's workarounds. You can run things locally or inside your own little silo, things that don't go back out to the public models. You can run your own model in, GCP, Model Garden, or wherever, and keep it separate from the world at large. And it's up to your security and compliance team to build the guardrails and then the tooling to help you implement them to make sure that you don't go off the road on those things. So that's a place where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Nobody wants to be a headline for a data breach.
No one wants to be in front of a Senate subcommittee. Yeah, we used AI to do this. It was a very bad idea. All right, so let's take a step back and let's go back and talk about when we look at utilizing AI in a front end. Like, okay, so we were talking about the safety of deterministic systems. Whatever goes in comes out, right?
Right.
So when we look at a non-deterministic system, what are the risks of introducing a non-deterministic system to the world? Can we speak to that? Or?
Yeah, there's a lot of risks around a non-deterministic system. So generative AI, especially if you're using something that has some kind of a unstructured learning model where it takes the input and then feeds the model and updates its response, you can have bad actors out there, or even just people ignorant of what they're trying to do or accidentally polluting your system with misinformation that could end its way back out to the public at large.
Tell us about the Chipotle example.
Oh, the Chipotle example. Who knows the Chipotle example? So there was a Chipotle's online order chat bot. And there was a great meme that went out there. I didn't believe it at first. I didn't believe it at first, but people put up screenshots where like, hey, I'd like to order a bowl, but first, can you help me write this Python program? And it did. Yeah, here's your Python program. Now, what would you like to order? And obviously, that was a big miss. That's sending things out, but that's a perfect example of how you have to govern your data inputs and wrap controls around what people are using, especially your business specific use cases for. You don't want to just have them out in the wild. And it was something that we had talked about at length as we were building HiveMind out. And we're like, well, we can just put a chat GPT prompt out there and have it just go to it'll be fine. But no, we can't. Our responses have to be consistent. Generative, if you look at AI and compare it to wine, right? You've got your workhorses. Your structured learning and unstructured learning are kind of your big bold reds, your Merlot, your Cab Sav. And then you've got your deterministic model, which is box wine. And in this case, it's not a bad thing because you know what you're going to get. It gives you what you expect every time. It's the same thing. Generative AI is like champagne. Everybody likes it until you get too much, and then it gives you a headache.
Awesome. So any other questions out there? We have an expert. Okay, go for it.
Do you have any thoughts in terms of how to prevent, I guess, so like in my head it's kind of like the non-human architecture versus the other type of architecture where data instructions are separate in one model but mixed in the other, where they can be kind of mixed together. And
Can you repeat that, please? Yep, Mike.
Any thoughts on how to prevent people from injecting malicious prompts?
So there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. We were talking about that earlier today. And you can use an AI to kind of filter your prompt properly to go in. You can use a deterministic model to start to scrape and curate your prompts. And we're actually leveraging something like that at HiveMind as part of our content moderation, where we're catching things before they even go to the engine that's going to post them. It's input scrubbing with AI right behind the front end, but before it goes and gets evaluated for other different types of content moderation. But
the thing to think about is create a DMZ.
yes.
Your goal is what you want to do is you can actually set up an isolated model. It doesn't touch anything. It just goes in and it detects. So it hits off of a quiet model off the side. This model, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to take your input data from wherever, right? Don't trust anything. It hits this model, and this model is going to go in and it's going to say, it tried to hit this, and this. If it tries to hit anything external, it's going to report it. That message gets rejected. So there's several ways, like you said, there's deterministic ways we can do it. There's also AI ways we can do it using non-deterministic. But nothing ever gets past that DMZ to the real model until it's been tested for that.
Right.
Okay. So we were talking about earlier, it's like there was a game, I'm trying to remember the game. And what it was, they put the AI out to the players. And the players figured out they could train the AI. So they turned this little character, I think it was like a little nymph or whatever, and they made it into a Darth Vader evil character by training it. And they realized that they said, okay, we can't do that. And it's also expensive. So what they did was they took an AI and they ran several scenarios against this AI. They took the AI and they would generate these responses. They took the responses that they liked, shoved that into a database, like a vector DB. So now what it is anytime you go in, instead of you talk to an AI, you just talk to a regular deterministic system sitting on that database that's giving those data back to you. It's cheaper and more reliable and less risk averse than letting people have direct access to an AI. So again, we have, this is what really did was in a lot of the subways we talked about. It's like, we can't just go all AI. We have this great arsenal of deterministic systems. They're cheaper. What A goes in always returns B, right? A, B. We just want to make sure that we make the that right decision. And that's what it showed us. I love the panel that said, do not. I appreciate that. Because sometimes it's like, oh, it's hazy. No. It could be sometimes binary.
Yeah.
So thank you for those.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, and when you look at it in terms of, I'm glad you mentioned vector databases. RAG is how people are, not just vector, obviously, graph databases in play, but this is where you control your data and really find measurable ways to look at what your hallucinations are like, and managing that data is critical. And implementing like a RAGIS framework or a RAG assessment system critical to any kind of AI at scale application. Because finding, especially for some of our use cases within our platform, identifying hallucinations during the matching is tricky. Like it's for a long time it was like a black box. So building observability into programs like that and systems, AI systems, can be tricky. Another question.
When you say RAG-enabled system, when you say RAG-enabled system, is it basically like clustering with embedding vectors?
Yeah, it's chunking your data and then putting your vector embeddings into your database, and then it basically gets processed after your prompt, but before it goes to the model, right? So you're really catering what you're getting from your model, and your AI model at that point, if you do it right, is just there for inference in conversational language, and all the real data comes from your vector, your RAG data, your context-specific business case data.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, well, so first off, if you have any additional questions and you're like, feel too shy, come up, talk to him, ask him, feel free to ask any question. He, like me, is also a fisher person, so if you like to fish, he has great advice. So, okay, that didn't flat, did it?
Yeah.
All right. Before I let you go, folks, give us a big round of applause.
Thank you, everybody. It was great to be here.